I was reflecting this morning on my favorite metaphor of the ocean and its waves that it gives rise to, and um, feeling how the individual waves we imagine ourselves to be autonomous creatures. John, the creature that is here speaking to you and initiated the Zoom call and is finishing up work on a new book and teaching college students and on and on and on and writing music and having relationships. This guy, John, the wave. Um, it feels like that. We have that sense of um, being autonomous individuals. If we have that sense, I imagine you have that sense. Um, Certainly at times, if not a lot of the time. Um, and that metaphor of these things that we describe as waves, we look out at the ocean and see these, we call them waves, right? Like there's something there that we call a wave that's risen up out of the sea and can be identified as something, right? And we could be sitting on the shore together having a conversation about, look at that beautiful wave that person's surfing, and um, wow, it's so gorgeous, the shape of the wave and the power of the wave. And but it's so amazing and beautifully paradoxical how there is something there that seems to be identifiable as autonomously existing, that's distinct from the other waves that this ocean is giving rise to. But at the same time, there are literally no waves at all, because it's actually arbitrary where the starting point of the wave is, right? It's just an ocean. There's nothing, the waves have never departed from the sea and become something autonomous. That's never ever occurred, because there's no, we can see it. It's as plain can be when we look out at the sea, that there's absolutely a seamless hole there, right? There's no gap where the wave begins, right? So what we think of as the motion of the waves and the activity of the waves um, is the activity of the ocean. The ocean is moving the wave, we could say. It's in its pure dynamism and energy and creative force. And it's perfectly analogous, I would say, to us, to this sense of, here I am speaking, but I am what I am as a body, as a mind, as a personality, as a organism, is absolutely inseparable from the whole of reality. There's no place where life comes to a stop and the thing called John, the organism, the being called John, the individual called John begins. I mean, and I would say this is true of each one of you, right? It can't, the dividing line just simply can't be found. I mean, where is the dividing line? Where does the life that you are and the life that's supposedly outside of you begin? I mean, can you find that line? Does it exist? It's imagined into existence. At least when you go to look for it as a, be a scientist about it. Look empirically, do you find the line? Look in your experience and see if you find any edge to you, any boundary separating the apparently autonomously existing creature and whatever you think is not you. In experience, you don't find any lines. You don't find any, um, right? As you feel your experience, do you find any gaps anywhere? We can imagine gaps and conceive of them, but we don't experience separation. We experience experience, which has no separation in it. And in that sense, what we think of as us as individual autonomous doers of whatever we're doing in life, whatever we're creating, making happen, and so on, engaging with, is being done by the whole of life. Just as the activity of the waves is being done by that which is giving rise to the waves. So my speaking is being not just poetically, it's being literally done by this ocean of reality that is doing everything, that is the genesis, the force giving rise, whatever that is. I mean, there's no word for that. I mean, it's just pure. What's doing this moment? Here's the moment appearing in all of its seeming complexity and color and multidimensionality. What exactly is doing the moment, is creating the moment in all of its aspects? Thoughts are being generated. What's doing that? What is giving rise to thought? What is generating thought? I mean, if you're a neuroscientist and you claim that what's generating thought is complex cellular activity in this thing called the brain, electrical firings in the brain that's giving rise to thought, doesn't that beg the question, well, what's doing all the neuronal activity? The complexity of of brain cells, of neurons, all the way down to the subatomic, level of quarks. And I mean, what's doing matter? What's giving rise to matter? And by the way, as is the case with all the questions that I invite us to look at, it's a question, sure, we could contemplate it analytically and conceptually and philosophically, and that can be fun if it is fun, if we find it enjoyable. But I'm inviting you to feel it as experience and feel into the absolute unanswerable question that it is, the pure mystery of this, the doer of everything. You could call it the intelligence of the universe. It's incredible to just feel that, to contemplate that experientially and even conceptually, that how much is so obviously not being done by us as a supposed individual that's separate and has agency. I mean, all the activities of the body, beating the heart, sending oxygen to all the body's cells, and the cells somehow know how to make use of that oxygen and to nourish their act and give rise to their activity. And I mean, that intelligence is unfathomable, isn't it? The intelligence of the immune system, the intelligence of the nervous system, the digestive system. What's keeping the body alive? What's keeping life alive? What is life? The life looking through your eyes right now. What's doing that? The energy, the subtle energy underlying everything. What is the isn't it clear that this is being done by something we could never say? All of it. I mean, language, which I'm using right now. the creation of these words, the articulation of these words. There's no sense that I'm doing this somehow. I mean, I could say that I'm doing this, but I don't know what this even is that I'm doing exactly, called language. Like, what is language? Nor the one that I imagine myself to be is pure mystery as well. So it's just mystery all the way down as to what's doing all of this and generating all of this in each moment. This sense we have of consciousness, of sentience, of knowing, the knowing of the moment. I spent really, good couple of decades trying to become more aware. And do you know, I never once, I don't believe in all those years of meditation trying to become more aware. I don't think I ever considered the question, what's creating awareness? This thing called awareness. Like, really? Like, I feel that awareness is something's doing consciousness, giving rise to this thing called consciousness, this that knows this moment, that perceives this moment. I could say, I pick up the glass of water and have a sip of water. But, the initiation of that movement, of the movement of the arm, what did that? What lifted the arm up? Well, I lifted the arm up. Really? I mean, what does that even mean to say that I lifted my arm up? I don't know how to lift my arm up. I mean, I do, but I have no idea how to do that. That intelligence of the simplest of acts of raising a glass of water to my lips is the most unfathomable mystery being done by the intelligence of the universe. So it's so obvious, isn't it? What's sitting over there where you are listening and seeming to understand my words to whatever degree they seem understandable. The comprehension of language. Are you doing that? I mean, in the sense that you are the ocean of existence, the vast infinite intelligence of life, yes, you are the one comprehending. You are the doer of all things in that sense. You are the inherent intelligence of everything. In the same way that the wave is the entirety of the sea because there's no separation. You feel an impulse to inquire into the nature of reality as we do here every Sunday that draws you, we could say, to show up here. And it feels like you probably, in one sense, it feels like you initiate that action of logging into the Zoom meeting and deciding to do this rather than something else on your Sunday. Um, but that impulse comes from where exactly? Can you say? Are you creating the impulse to be here? Are you creating the impulse to move in whatever direction you move in your life, to pursue whatever you pursue, to go after whatever you feel inspired to go after and have happen or create or engage in, right? It's incredible, isn't it? I mean, I love speaking about what we speak about here. I have a great love for it. It's inspiring. It moves me. It's just like my favorite thing. Why am I creating this love for this somehow? Like, am I behind that? Am I behind the scenes, like making this happen? Yes, this is what I'm going to, this is how I'm going to be inclined and this is going to move in this direction. It's like the more we look, the more we can see that we are, as individuals, we are not the doer of any of this. Plus, as I said, there's no separation anyway. So there's just this, this unspeakably miraculous reality that is each one of us. And in it being each one of us and everything else, it is the great doer of all things. Just as the ocean is moving all of the waves. And each of the waves, while we can speak about them as individual and autonomous, as I was saying, see how the wave, what we call the wave, is already dissolved in the sea, isn't it? Like each of us is already dissolved in and as the vastness of life. It's not something to achieve, not something to acquire. The wave doesn't acquire the realization of the ocean. The wave is the ocean. It's the ocean's expression already. Not because we did anything. It's just because life is everything. This life, this um, as you sit here, this is a beautiful meditation you could do for 5 seconds or, as long as you want. You're just sitting and just feel what's sitting here. The absolute reality is sitting here. What's listening to the words? The absolute reality is listening to the words. What's speaking the words? The absolute reality is speaking the words. It's funny because despite how true that rings, I think inside of us, it's hard to deny that we're being done in a sense by this that is doing everything. Um, there's still this sense of engaging with life, of uh, my friend Peter used to say, it feels participatory. Like we're not just sitting on the sidelines, you know, we're not we're not just lying being taken by the river, so to speak. Like we are this engaged reality, in a sense, engaging with itself. It feels very yeah, it feels very participatory. Like, oh, let me look. But of course, we could look and see, like, let me look at what this is. Let me feel what this is. Let me investigate the mystery that this is. That's what I mean by that sense of participatory. It's like, well, I'll just sit over here and let that happen by this that is doing everything. No, it's like you do it. You inquire, you engage. But then you can look and see what is that you that's looking at reality, that's engaging and inquiring and exploring and feeling into the boundlessness of this and the fathomlessness of this. It's the same thing that's sitting here. It's absolute reality. It's the one engaging, but in a sense, it's also very personal. Like it is your personal life. It's like I'm looking at your different little Zoom frames, and it's like it's very personal. It's like the absolute reality is Debbie and Sandra and Gary and Pat and Chuck and Teresa. And it's like it is it's very individual and very personal and totally not at the same time. As weird as that sounds, right? But it's like the unique expression of this, each of its unique, right? I mean, that tree outside my window is completely distinct and unique from the ground that it's rooted in and from the sky that's overhead. And it's utterly unique as an expression of this single reality that's doing everything. But it's the same reality, but every aspect of this single reality appears unique. It's each unique expression. So that's the individuality, the uniqueness of each of its manifestations. But it's one thing at the same time. I mean, how crazy is that? How many, I don't know, billions, I guess, of atoms in the human body? I think there's more than that, way more than that. And each one is different, right? Each one is a unique atom. It's got its own kind of individual existence. There's the atom, there's another atom, right? But all the atoms are made of what everything is made of, right? Whatever atoms are made of. This fundamental mystery of everything. This fundamental mystery doing everything, being everything.